Hi everyone, welcome back to Terranormal. Today I have a guest who you may recognize from past episodes, such as last week's episode where we talk about her haunted house. So I've brought Brandi back with me to talk about some new experiences that she's been having. Brandi and I recorded that podcast that I posted last week about a month ago, I think it was. And some new elements have kind of come into play at her house. She's noticed a lot more activity, and there's been a few things that have happened. So
that I've actually seen happen.
Yes. So, in the first one I kind of want to talk about, which sort of spins into why I wanted to do this podcast today and talk to Brandi, is she caught something on video. And maybe I'll turn the mic over to you and you can tell us a little bit about the events leading up to. But
yeah, so we have a home security camera. So it was October 9th, and I wrote everything down that has happened so far and the dates. So October 9th, Tuesday, I got home from work, and I was standing at our kitchen counter looking through our mail, and to the right of me, we have the fridge and cupboards and a longer cupboard with like the garbage can, Swiffer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of skipping through the mail, and I'm going to add that my kids were in the living room. My husband was outside, so it was just me right there.
So no one was around to affect.
Correct. No dogs, nothing.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, my Swiffer vacuum falls out of our storage cupboard and just lands on the floor, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And me, I just look at it and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Go back to checking my mail.
Yeah. You're like, that's normal.
And like when I tell people these stories, they're like freaked out, and I'm just like, just go with the flow. They're like, I would leave. I'm like, well, just whatever.
Yeah. That one's not as scary to me.
No.
It's what happens next that kind of scared me a little bit. But I was like, ooh.
I've got our whole coworkers a little terrified.
Yeah. I should mention we are recording this after work. So
At work.
Yeah, at work. So we have like a chance to be together. I'm like, anyway, we were talking to her about this story, and she was kind of explaining all these details, and it was kind of freaking everybody out. But yeah, that night you had something that was a little more startling, I would say.
So my son, not quite 2 yet, he wears these little rubbery blue rain boots with an orange sole. Don't know if you need no details, but there you go.
Creates the image, right?
Yeah. It's about the size of my hand, little tiny feet, so if you put your hand up, there's the size for you to kind of help you figure out this story I'm going to tell you. So I was taking him in his room, and he saw the boots on. I was holding him, like cradling him like a baby, and I would pop his boots off one at a time, and they fell down on the floor. One was about 12 inches from his bed, and the other one kind of bounced under a little bit on the crib. So I put him in his bed. I grabbed the remote so he could watch his TV as he went to sleep, and out of the corner of my right eye, under his crib, I see his boot do some sort of flipping thing, if you want to call it that, and it landed completely flat on the sole, which when it was there the first time, it was on the side. I want to add, I have this on camera. We have a security system. We have a camera in the kids' room, and this was caught on camera.
Yeah.
You can see my son sitting in the corner of the crib, not moving. The sheets aren't moving. I mean, I watched every little thing in that video separate times.
Yeah.
And you can see me.
There's like no way for that to have moved.
So as soon as it starts to do its flip, I kind of just look over and I'm like, I kind of just look at it like it's no big deal. Like, it didn't scare me. Mm-hmm. I didn't touch it. I just left it as is. Can you continued to put the TV on, gave my son a kiss goodnight, and just walked out of the room.
Ooh.
I promise I'm not a bad parent. It just didn't faze me.
Yeah, you were like, that's not... But then you found the video, and she showed me the video. It's hard to see because of the angle of where the camera is, but it looks like you can see this little blue blob under the bed, or towards the end of the bed, I guess you would say. And all of a sudden it looks like it gets sucked under. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have Brandi forward that video to me, and maybe I can post it on my Instagram and Facebook so you can kind of take a look at it and see what we're talking about. You have to look for it. Well, honestly, even if you're not looking for it, the movement of that being sucked under the bed kind of catches your eye. So it's really creepy. It's very creepy. But you also had a few experiences that happened kind of followed up after this experience. Mm-hmm. So, I
mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. For instance, October 12th. So that day, it was during the day, I was cleaning my house, and my basement had this uneasy feeling. And I kept hearing tapping noises while I was down there, and just looking down the stairs at the basement was just the most uncomfortable feeling. Mm-hmm. But, I don't let it bother me. But anyway, I was coming upstairs, and I had the vacuum sitting at the bottom of the stairs, and I was about 3 steps up, and it somebody was tapping on the vacuum. The vacuum thing where the debris canister, yeah. Someone was just tapping on it. So I kind of turned around and looked. No one was there. Just continued my way upstairs. But then also that day, one of the girls that works here, she does saging and stuff.
Yeah.
So I brought my kids up, and we had went downstairs in our office, and she saged my daughter first, which I'll get to the story with her in a minute. And then she saged my son after. And then as soon as my son was done, he had walked into this room, which I think you and Melissa talked about previously. History of here?
Yeah, we talked about the history of here, mm-hmm. which that particular room, it's in the basement, I think we already mentioned, but it has a 2-way mirror linked to it. And every time we go down there, it's always has this creepy vibe. And in fact, Brandi and I, literally the night before, were talking about ghosts and stuff. And we're like, oh, I want to do a ghost hunt here, and we need to set that up. And we went down to the basement to record something, see if we could get something prompted and provoked and catch something on camera or something. And as we're walking from room to room, as soon as we get to that room, we weren't even standing in the room all the way, but I was like, this room always gives me a creepy feeling. And Brandi's like, yeah, me too. I've never gotten a good vibe from it. And as we're standing there, we're kind of just talking to nothing and each other. And my arm all of a sudden started feeling really cold. Just one arm. And then Brandi kind of walked closer, and she felt the same thing. So that's kind of the history of that room itself. And so Brandi's son kind of experienced something in that particular room. But
so after he was done getting saged, he went into that room, pointed at the lights, because there's the computer stuff there. So
yeah, it's the server and stuff. Yeah.
Flashy lights. And then he all of a sudden turned towards the door, which is to the right, waved and said hi to absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's just the chain of events is kind of creepy. And maybe it's the electronics in that room that makes it feel weird. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't explain the cold that we're feeling just from that area, or the fact that he's saying hi to nothing.
Yeah, because he'll wave weird. And say hi to you on Polo, or to airplanes and buses and cars, but to wave at a wall,
he's never done that before.
No.
Yeah, that's really weird.
So.
Yeah.
But I do want to add, after I had mentioned sounded like someone was tapping on the vacuum.
Yeah.
I had texted this girl from work and she said, be demanding, tell it to leave. So as I was doing that, I got really lightheaded and dizzy. And then within a few minutes of doing that, I had a massive headache. Like that. Like,
immediately.
Yeah.
I wonder what that means.
Like, I felt so light. Like, I was floating. I got dizzy. I kind of got lightheaded and like, whoa, where am I?
Did she tell you what that meant or anything when you said that, or she just
that there was something?
Okay, I'm just curious.
But yeah,
like so for you to have that experience, maybe it was like revolting against something. I don't know.
It was mad at me.
That's
It's I hope I didn't piss it off.
Like nope, I am not leaving. Sorry. Oh, so creepy.
So actually that night, I just remembered. My mom was talking to her because to my daughter, I was trying to get her to have her draw a picture to see if she would draw anything specific because she kept saying she can see things or it's creepy downstairs. Mm-hmm. She's having bad nightmares and stuff. So she wouldn't draw the picture, my daughter, but she did tell my mom that she does not see scary things. She doesn't see ghosts, nothing like that. She only sees evil in mine and her dad's room, which is my husband. She sees evil in our room.
Yeah, I remember. I know when you were telling me about that, I was like, "Oh, that's not a good sign."
Like that whole story was all that Friday.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she will not be downstairs alone. She will not go downstairs alone. Mm-hmm. You have to be with her. She has to have all the lights on. Mm-hmm. Because she gets so terrified.
Which I think is pretty common for a basement, but the fact is, it's a fairly finished basement, you know, like your room's finished, and her room is down there and it's finished. So, usually it's, you know, you'd be fine with that. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that she's had all these, like, feelings, and yeah, to hear her say that that's evil, that's a little startling, you know?
So the reason I would ask my daughter, like, why she acts out, why she gets so mad and upset all the time, doesn't, like, really listen. She has told me, my husband, which is her dad, and my mom multiple times that she just says there's something in her and she doesn't know. You know, we ask her, like, what do you mean there's something in you? She just cries, I don't know.
Yeah.
And, like, you know,
she doesn't know why she's acting out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, she just says that there's something in me making me mad and act out, that it's making her do it. So, I mean, every kid's going to have a fit. Every kid's going to throw a fit.
Right.
But for a kid to say that something is in her, making her do that, like...
It's a little startling. It's a little weird to hear those words come from, from a child.
It is heartbreaking to hear it, too, because you're like, whoa.
You're like, what can I do to fix you?
It kind of hits you out of nowhere, like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
All right, so another story. This was October 14th, which, you know, mind you, this has been like the last week or two.
Yeah, so that was just a couple days ago, Sunday.
Yeah, 2 days ago was this story. So it was a Sunday night. It was about, I want to say, like 8:39-ish. Mm-hmm. So my husband was in bed. My daughter was in her room. My son was on the bed with my husband. And I was standing to the bed doing something. I don't know, folding laundry, whatever. And my door, there's like a little slab of the door on the outside that is busted. So when you shut the door, it catches that little split part and it like makes a loud thud. Like, it is so loud and obnoxious.
So it's just hard to open.
You have to, like, rip it open or
push
kick
it
the door in
closed.
and push it open.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I had shut it, not all the way to where it would lock into the hinge, but enough to where it was shut. So, it was maybe, like, a half an inch open. And I was just standing there, and out of nowhere, it opens maybe 2 inches. I kind of stopped. I looked over to my left, which the door was right there. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was my daughter. So I went over to the door, opened it, looked left, looked right, down the hallway, walked in her room, and she's asleep. Dead asleep in her room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I come back in the bedroom, looked at my husband, I'm like, you heard that, right? You heard that door open. He heard it. So, you know, me, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't scare me, it doesn't faze me, I'm just like, okay, so I'm open the door. And, I mean, nothing also could have opened this door. There was no windows open, there was no breeze for it to even push.
Yeah.
Like, it cannot be pushed open without force.
Yeah, it's alone, like, without any difficulty from the door itself, it probably would have been hard for that to happen.
I could even send you a clip of it, of how hard it is to open.
Yeah, because Brandi sent me a polo. Every time something creepy happens, she like sends me a video of it, and she was like demonstrating how hard it is to open. And I do remember that from just being at her house and stuff, that it has like a weird little quirk to it that you do have to like really push on it, you know, to close it, or really like yank on it to open. So for it to open without a breeze or anything, like a normal door that doesn't have that issue, it wouldn't have opened anyway without a breeze. So for
and it wasn't
that to be coupled, for that to be coupled with the other thing, it's just like a weird circumstance.
Yeah.
I don't know. Really weird.
Yeah, so shortly after that, I had went upstairs and I was in the kitchen. My son comes running up the stairs, like crying, screaming, freaking out, running up these stairs like, I don't know, like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
And he was holding his head. I'm like, honey, what's the matter? Did you hit your head? And kind of shook his head, no. Held his head, ow. I said, did somebody touch you? And he, didn't really say, just ow. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah. And
since then, you cannot leave him downstairs. He comes up the stairs freaked out.
Like running up.
Yeah, like he's terrified.
Yeah.
And he's never done that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's just a really weird coincidence and chain of events to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Within
seconds.
Even within, like, just the experiences in general. All of that stuff happening, the boot moving, the tapping, the, just the feeling of negative energy and stuff. And then days later for him to all of a sudden be afraid of the basement, a place that he's never been afraid of before.
Yeah.
But you were also telling me about something that your husband had heard, which really freaked me out, just putting that out there, but...
Yeah, so sometimes our son will fall asleep in our bed, which is fine. And then I don't know the time, because I was asleep, but I remember hearing him get up, taking him in. So he had told me that next day that once he took him in his bed, shut the door to come back in our room, he heard a man's voice saying, hello? Hello? Like, kind of, man voice. Like, right after. And he looked and there was nobody there. But he's told me, like, a while ago that sometimes he'll be sleeping and he'll be awake, but he can't move. He can't
So,
talk.
like a sleep paralysis.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. But his family used to live in this house, and most have had experiences, or some, I should say.
Yeah, my sister-in-law told me, like, 2 different times, but that's all I know of, so.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what could be ramping it up, though. It seems super, like, hyperactive lately.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
But yeah, I've been with him almost 12 years, lived with him for about 11. So it was at least 11, 12 years ago when his sister had told me that the TV would change channels and the remote being right next to whoever was there. Mm-hmm. And then she also mentioned that she would feel somebody touching her and no one was around. It was just her in the room. So those are only like 2 things that I know of that's happened before I lived there. But
yeah,
she's always saying that the house is creepy, that there's something down there.
Yeah.
But it's starting to get a little more, how would you call it, with like,
it's just, yeah, it's making more of a, giving more of a presence, I guess.
Yeah.
Because before this, you told me, like, very sporadically, just different stories that had happened, and I'd be like, that's really weird, you know, like, last time we talked about the car moving on its own, or, you know, the cup and stuff moving kind of on its own from place to place, and...
But it's stuff that I won't really see, but now it's like I'm seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just stuff that's like maybe can be explained away a little bit. And now it's almost getting to the point where you can explain it away a little bit. I know you're even trying to, like, you're like,
I'm getting there.
Yeah. With the video and stuff, we were all like, oh my God, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. That's nuts. I mean, you see these videos all the time online and you're like, is that fabricated? Is that blah, blah, blah?
And that's where
it's like somebody that I trust.
Yeah.
And have known forever.
Years. Yeah.
Years. And I'm like,
15 years.
She doesn't, she wouldn't do that. She doesn't believe it. And she, as far as I know, is not a big video editor, so
I have not a clue how to do that.
So, I mean, she could surprise me one day, but I'm assuming that's not one of her skills. No. But it's just seeing those things that kind of, I don't know, it's just a weird chain of events that keep happening. So every night I'm like, is she going to text me something else that happened?
I like almost get excited. I'm like, what's going to happen tonight?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of actually look forward to it. As long as you're not beating my kids or...
Yeah. But I guess maybe it's kind of getting to that point where it's starting to scare your kids. And it's like, you know, if it is something that's affecting your daughter or something and affecting her mood and stuff, at this point it's like, okay, not funny anymore. You can leave. I mean,
it can stay if there is something. As long as, you know, can play tricks on me, whatever. Just don't be harmful, don't be evil, don't be aggressive.
Yeah, don't hurt your kids.
You know, just be nice.
Yeah.
But
there's
seeing it on a video compared to real life, it does have a different point to it.
Yeah.
Because I'd see videos, I'm like, yeah, this is not real.
Exactly, yeah. But...
And then I see a boot flip
and then you have
vacuum fall out.
Somewhat proof, like, that something weird happened. I'm telling you, the video, maybe we're playing this up a little bit too much, but I feel like as soon as I saw the video, I was like, no way. Like, it looks like it just gets sucked up under the bed.
Yeah, it's different from my angle and from the camera's angle that's really high up. Because from the camera, you just see it go straight down, but my angle, you see it like somebody grabbed it and turned it and then sat it straight up on the sole. And it was perfectly right under the crib bar, right there.
Freaks me out a little bit, but and So the woman who works here that does the saging and stuff, she was saying that it's a kid or something in your room, or what was she saying that it was? Do you remember?
She was saying that it might be a kid telling my daughter what to do.
Yeah. That's
when we found out she was saying it. She was seeing the evil in our room.
Yeah.
That it's not thinking it's a kid, because we asked her, is it a kid? Is there someone telling you to do something? No, I just see evil in Mom and Dad's room. Like, thank you. We sleep in that room.
Can you not? That's not something that a 7-year-old, would
make up.
Would just say out of nowhere.
Yeah, especially her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't see her doing that.
We don't teach her stuff like that. We don't let her watch horror movies or evil or violence.
Yeah.
So
where really she would get that from would be crazy. But
I do the normal scare my daughter, but it's not
every parent does that, right? But yeah. And Brandi and I, after kind of these chain of events had started, this was before some of the crazy stuff from last Friday and this past weekend. We were looking up maybe the history of the house. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is there a history of maybe people dying in this house, or how old is this house? Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it was that old. It's located in Magna, Utah, which we've kind of found out it's kind of like an old farming community. And it was called Green. Do you remember? Pleasant Green.
It was like a power plant.
Yeah. So
milling operation.
Yeah. It was basically like working people, working class people, lived in this community, which I had no idea. Like, I didn't realize that area was so old. The high school that Brandi lives across from is 100 years old, we found out just this year, right?
Yeah.
It was like 1918 that it was built, and it's 2018 now, so it's 100-year anniversary. And your house was built in like the 30s. So, I mean, for Utah, that's pretty old. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know back east and stuff, that's nothing. But for the area and stuff, that's a pretty old house. And they've done a lot of like revamping with it and stuff. And so it doesn't look old. That's why I didn't think it was. So, but the area itself, I was kind of surprised that it was older. And we, in doing some of our research, kind of discovered that there was an old power plant or old mill or something on the top of the mountain, which driving past on the freeway, you can see it.
Heading to Twila, you can see it.
Yeah, and it's been there forever. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a theory that a lot of migrant workers had been there, and all these different backgrounds of different people and just different energies and everything being there for so long kind of created like a ripple effect on the town of Magna. Because in doing our research, we discovered that there's a lot more spooky things that
yeah, we found a video
kind of come across. Yeah, Ghost Adventures. We were like, oh, that's interesting.
Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel.
Yeah.
Go look it up. It's a very interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually about a pizza place on Magna, Maine, and a witch store up the street.
Yeah, we were watching it, and Brandi's like, oh my God, I've been there. I've eaten at that place. But
and I had no idea they had a basement, and I guess a lot of stuff has happened there.
Like,
but go check out this video.
Yeah.
Just type in Nona's Pizza Haunted and just look it up.
Yeah. So the area is kind of known for having some haunted stuff. And the cemetery, we were kind of like a few of my friends and stuff, we were like looking up haunted cemeteries to look at. Like it's Halloween time, so we're trying to find spooky things to do and experience. And everybody's always talks about like the downtown cemetery that's huge and has these crazy plots and stuff. But I was kind of surprised that Magna was listed on it.
One of the top.
Cemeteries. One of the spookiest or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, I guess. I don't know. And it is a creepy cemetery when you go to it. It's not very kept up.
It's not, there's no grass.
Tiny.
It's all dirt and rocks.
Yeah.
And people kind of just make their own. I mean, it's beautiful what they do with it. Mm-hmm. They do like fencing and all this other stuff and benches and chairs.
Yeah.
It's very like
it's
deserted.
Some of the other cemeteries you see around, they're very like strict on what can be done because they're like owned by these people that want it to look really great. And it's like, I know my great grandpa was buried at a cemetery that the headstones can only be flat, like on the ground, so that they can mow over it and it looks pretty and looks nice.
I didn't know they had rules like that.
Yeah, some of them do. Some of them aren't so strict, but I know that one, it's literally you can't do anything, crazy. And so I think that's kind of cool that Magna really doesn't have rules like that. But because she was showing me, she was driving through it and kind of showing me video of what it was looking like.
It's up on a mountain.
Yeah, I've driven past it, and it's called like Pleasant Green Cemetery, which I'm like, oh, that's what Magna used to be called, so that makes sense. But other than that, I had no idea. Like, I've driven past it and kind of know where it's at, but I've never driven through it, from what I can remember anyway. Maybe I have, I just don't remember, but it's a pretty cool, like, cemetery. I kind of want to spend some time in it. Maybe see and explore what's going on. But, so the cemetery itself is pretty old. So, that kind of tells you how old the town is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was pretty interesting. But, yeah, that cemetery is pretty crazy. So, we may do kind of an update on the cemetery itself too. I want to explore it and see how old the gravestones are and that just sort of thing. Just kind of walk around and get a feel for it.
Check it out because, if my husband's side has family up there. So.
Yeah. So you have more of a reason than I do, but
no,
still.
I mean, you're just visiting.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I think we'll kind of wrap it up from there with today's episode. And if Brandi has any more updates, I'll definitely have her on again. She's now been my most frequented guest, so
I'm very grateful to be on this.
It's fun. It's fun having her. I'm grateful that she's willing to be on it because not everyone's jumping at the chance, But
I was scared at first, and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's just talk about everything.
She's excited. So, yeah, I'm excited for what else may come up and what else we may be able to talk about. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated and informed about what's kind of going on. Maybe a little more history about certain parts of Magna in the area. So, Brandi, do you have anything you'd like to add or anything?
I think I told all my stories
for
now.
I think you did. You did a pretty good job of that. But
videos don't lie.
Yeah. So speaking of videos, I will, as soon as Brandi forwards me that video, I'm going to link it to my Instagram and Facebook and have you guys take a look at that and see what you think. But other than that, I will leave you guys today. But just go check out Instagram, Facebook. I'm Terranormal on all those things. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
and I'm not normal.